Probably one of the biggest and most exciting aspects of this newest software release is how we handle assigning sellers in an auction. As I mentioned, we're getting rid of the relative seller ID concept and streamlining the process on the front end. So first thing I'm going to show you is the new seller overview, which is located up here in the upper left-hand corner. The first thing you'll see is a very nice visualization of your sellers over a given date range. So you can see which sellers you've sold for over the last 3 months, 6 months, whatever that date range could be. Or you could search down to one specific seller and see what they've done over the last 3 months or 6 months, whatever date range you choose. Some affiliates have expressed an interest in seeing a seller report based on a date range. So if you just wanted to show someone what you sold them over a 1 month period rather than a per auction period, you could do that here. Or if you had a seller call you and ask, what did you sell for me in the last year? You could run that report here based on this date range. Start at any date, end at any date, and select your seller. You'll also see that you have the ability to export a CSV over here of some of this data to import into a Excel spreadsheet as well. In this section, it would be showing me any auctions that have closed, but we're still waiting settlement. So it would show us which sellers have been assigned, what their settlement amount will be. At this point, I don't have anything created, but that's just kind of a nice visualization of what you have going on and when the next auction is that you have to settle. You'll also notice a more robust seller list down here at the bottom. A very nice option is the ability to disable a seller that you no longer use. So if they're a one and done seller, you don't have to have them on your active seller list to prevent that from getting too large. So you can just hit the disable button. Those won't be lost. They'll just be shown down here in the disabled sellers. So if I want to create a new seller, which would be the first process here, or first step in the process, I'd click on this new button up here. And what you'll see is that there still is a seller ID, and that's different than a relative seller ID. Primarily, who will be using a seller ID are affiliates who will upload spreadsheets of their descriptions. And instead of using a full seller name or relative seller ID 1 or 2, you could use an acronym or some kind of rememberable name or memorable name for your seller. So, for instance, Google has a ticker symbol of Goog, G-O-O-G. That might be a very easy one to remember. And what's going to happen when you upload that spreadsheet is it's going to see that seller ID. And if you have that created in your seller profile, it's automatically going to assign those lots to your seller that you have here. So it'll match those two up. Of course, you don't need to use the seller ID. You could create your auction, and using the batch edit options, you can change your sellers in mass. So you don't have to do that one by one anymore. You can create your auction first and then select all of the lots and the sellers that they belong to. And I'll show you that in a minute. Of course, you still have all the same options here: seller name, company name, contact information, and address. The biggest difference down here is the commission rate. So what you're going to have to think of commission rates a little bit differently, as more of a commission profile than a standard commission rate. And that'll make sense here in a sec. So if I wanted to assign a commission rate to this seller, what I would do is go to the select button here. And what you're going to notice is you don't have any commission rates created yet, especially right after this release. These are all going to be brand new. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is click up here in the new rate button. This will allow you to create a new commission profile. So for this one, I'm going to do a very standard one. It's just going to be a straight 30% commission rate. So in this case, it's going to ask me what that price range will be that we're going to charge this rate. And for this case, it's going to be anything that we sell. So from 0 to infinity, I'm going to leave this blank. I'm going to charge this percent. You can also charge a flat fee as well. So if you wanted to charge $5 up to $20, that's something you can do as well. But for this case, or this example, I'm just going to put in 30%. And again, that goes in as a whole number rather than a decimal. So I put it in as 30.00 and hit save. And we'll see that I now have a commission profile called Straight 30 that's going to charge 30% across the board. One of the really nice features here is the ability to create split rates or split profiles as well. So I'll show you how that's done. We'll start in the upper right hand corner again with a new rate. And this one I'm going to call split $5,000. In this case, anything up to $5,000, I'm going to charge one rate. Anything over that amount, I'm going to charge another. So let's say for the first 5,000, I want to charge 15%. My first step is to save this portion of the profile. And we'll see that I have my new commission profile called Split 5,000. Now I'm going to go in and view and edit that, and we'll see what we have created so far. Now to add another range to this, I'm just going to select New Range in Rate. And it's going to start where we left off. So anything over this amount to infinity, or I could have this at 999.99, whatever rate you want. But in this case, I'm just going to do anything over 5,000 is going to be at 10%. If I save that, we'll see that we have two ranges in this commission profile. And you can use these profiles for multiple sellers. Like I said, after they've been used on a settlement or on a previous auction, they can't be adjusted. So make sure that they are kind of how you want them to be. You certainly can create new ones, though, if you want to expand on your commission profile. So now that you've seen how to create a commission profile, one of the first things you're probably going to want to do after you log into the new system or the newest update is disable any sellers that you don't use. You're also going to want to create your commission profiles and assign them to the sellers that you're going to be using, because after this most recent update, you're not going to have any commission rates assigned. But of course, anything that's already been settled, any auctions that have been completed and settled, all those commission rates will stay the same. So you don't have to worry about going back and retroactively changing those. It's just anything going forward, we'll be using this new way to assign commission profiles. So at this point, I'm going to show you how we can mass assign sellers within an auction. So I mentioned that there's a batch edit option to assign sellers, and it's just as easy as this. You can choose one or more or all of your lots within an auction and determine who that seller is. So in this case, I'm going to choose PJ Fanberg. So just as simple as that, where you used to have to go into each lot and edit the relative seller ID, now you can just change the seller in mass. You can also drill down into the item as well and change the commission rate for a specific item. Now at this point, the commission rate's going to be what the default rate is for that seller. So at this point, I don't have a default rate for PJ Fanberg, but if I did, that is what would be assigned to each lot. One last thing that I want to show you on the relative seller or seller concept is a previously closed or settled auction. So in this case, you'll see this auction was closed a long time ago. All of our information is still in here. And what you're going to notice is that it says relatives or legacy relative seller rate is applied. So that's just letting you know that nothing's changed in that aspect, that the original commission rate that you applied to that auction or item is still in there, and you can still view it in the settlement portion.